Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis has ended his bid for the Republican nomination for President of the United States. Once seen as perhaps the most viable Republican alternative to Donald Trump, DeSantis has endorsed the former president as he bowed out on Sunday. The move leaves Trump with just one rival, along with 4 criminal proceedings standing between him and a rematch with President Joe Biden in November.
Dropping out of the presidential nomination race. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has endorsed former President Donald Trump, even though early polls suggested he was in a strong position to take him on.
It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. They watch his presidency get stymied by relentless resistance, and they see Democrats using lawfare this day to attack him. Well, I've had disagreements with Donald Trump, such as on the coronavirus pandemic and his elevation of Anthony Fauci. Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. That is clear.
His farewell from the scene left his supporters disheartened.
Very deflated, very upset. This is not good news at all. I'm very upset, but it happened and it's very deflating.
Upsetting for some, but uplifting for others campaigning in New Hampshire, where Republicans will get their first chance to cast ballots for a nominee, especially Donald Trump and his supporters. Even though he's been endorsed by DeSantis, Trump still faces one serious challenger, Nikki Haley, Trump's former UN ambassador.
It comes down to this. Do we want more of the same, or do you want something different? And more of the same isn't just Joe Biden. More of the same is also Donald Trump.
But even if Haley can defeat Trump in New Hampshire, it will take a lot more to loosen his grip on a party he's dominated since 2016.
Let's get more from Liz Schuelke, a political scientist and policy analyst, joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us on DW News. So we've got Ron DeSantis out. How surprised are you by his departure?
It's pretty surprising. Nobody leaves after taking second in Iowa this early in the game. It's just kind of unprecedented at this point that he would bow out. My immediate reaction was a deal somewhere has been made. And I was kind of waiting to see, was it a deal to Trump or was it a deal to Haley?
Well, what is the fact that DeSantis has now given Trump his endorsement? Is that perhaps a deal behind closed doors that you're referring to?
I would not be surprised. And that's exactly what I was looking for. The only way Republicans could have nominated someone other than Trump was if they all coalesced around one person. Last week, when the Iowa caucus happened, the next 3 folks behind Trump together would have beaten him. Right away, Vivek drops out. He endorses Trump. So now it is DeSantis and Haley. DeSantis endorsing Trump is a surprising move. This means it isn't for the Democrats, it's for Trump. And Trump has indicated he already has his VP pick in mind.
And who do we think that VP pick might be, in your view?
He's been coy, but there's a lot of signs that say DeSantis at least thinks that it could be him. And that's why he probably agreed for some title to do this.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit and think about what this means for what is increasingly looking like a potential rematch between Biden and Trump to become the next president of the United States. I mean, really now the only contender standing in Trump's way for that competition is Nikki Haley. Does she stand any realistic chance of beating him here?
She's definitely an outsider. The next contest is New Hampshire. New Hampshire likes to think of itself as kind of the maverick state, the unexpected state. So there is a chance she could do well in New Hampshire. And the state following that is her home state of South Carolina. So I wouldn't totally count her out yet, but I would say that it's a long shot.
Okay. And so if she were to have, a surprise upset and do really well in New Hampshire, what would the next step be? How much of a long shot are we talking about here?
She comes a lot closer, especially with the state following that South Carolina. And this would mean that the Republicans are in for a real primary versus right now. I think Trump is signaling he wants to quash this right now and head into the general. And so I think a lot of people would come out of the woodwork to support her and keep it hobbling along. So I think it would extend the primary. I am not super hopeful it would secure their nomination.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. That's Liz Schuelke, a political scientist in Washington, D.C.
Thank you all.